Good evening, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are in the world. You're watching CryptoBanter.com, the world's first 24/7 streaming live call-in crypto station. We are here to give you live conversations, live trading advice, live tips, live streaming crypto information from around the world. Today, we've got a huge show for you today. Even though Bitcoin has got whiplash, we still think that Bitcoin is going to 106,000. But we think there's a huge pullback, and the pullback is coming very, 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 very soon. Today was the launch of the Ethereum 2.0. The Genesis block was mined. We're going to be looking at Ethereum versus Bitcoin and looking at and deciding which one is going to be a better investment in the short term and which one is going to be a better investment in the long term. What are you buying and what are you selling in the altcoin market given this pullback? We're going to be looking at alts, taking the top picks and deciding what to buy and what to sell. Then we've got Charles Hoskinson from Cardano. He's coming to talk about Cardano and whether or not we should be buying before it's too late. And just after my show, we've got a very special show for you guys, a show called Venture into the World of Psychedelics. We're going to be looking at what drugs you should be taking to calm your nerves in this bull market. You're listening or you're watching Crypto Banter.
Crypto Banter is the world's first interactive social cast for the crypto community. Get the latest news, views, interviews, and live conversations with crypto enthusiasts from around the world. This is where you call in, you make the show, and you bring the banter. That's CryptoBanter.com, where you talk crypto.
Welcome back to CryptoBanter.com. We're watching the crypto markets today. We've had a massive pullback, but it seems like Bitcoin is back on the bounce. And this is quite typical of a bull market. You know, the pullbacks are hard, but the recoveries are even quicker. We've seen two recoveries or two pullbacks in the last 7 days and two very, very, very quick recoveries. We're going to be looking at a market roundup. We're going to be looking at Ethereum 2.0, altcoins and alt picks. We're going to be looking at Cardano and whether or not you should be buying it. And then we've got a very special treat for you. Not only have we got traders coming in to talk about charts, but we've also got a segment on psychedelics and investing in psychedelics. Now, just a reminder, guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button now. The more likes and the more subscribers we get, the more YouTube shares this content and the more viewers we can get and the more we can bring you live streaming content. Also, this is a call-in show. Yep, a call-in show where you, the audience, can call in and banter with us. We want to bring the banter from Twitter and Telegram to this medium. You sit there all day and we comment on Twitter, but let's talk crypto. Let's get the discussion going. If you want to call in, you can call in on Telegram at CryptoBanter. There's a WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also go to www.CryptoBanter.com. And there's a live widget which allows you to call in anonymously. So I'm going to move on with the show. Today I promised you guys that for the first time, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to give you my thesis as to why I see Bitcoin going to $106,000. And actually, I see Bitcoin going to beyond $106,000. I often interview people. In fact, I've spent a long time interviewing people either on this show or on CNBC, where I hosted the world's first televised and only televised cryptocurrency investment show. And all the time, what I did was I'd give you the opinion of other people or I'd interview other people. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you through my thesis about why Bitcoin is going to 106,000 in this bull run, and actually maybe even beyond the 106,000. Now, to start off the thesis, I think what we should do is look at the Bitcoin November chart. If we look at the Bitcoin November chart, we have a couple of takeouts. The first thing is Bitcoin started November at $13,700 and closed at $19,700. That means that in November, we added 44% market capitalization to Bitcoin. That is a huge number and by far the biggest month or the most sustainable month that Bitcoin has had. But let's zoom out because it's not all about the 1 month period. We need to take a much bigger look. And if we zoom out, what we can see is that in 2020, Bitcoin had a 170% increase. It isn't the best performing asset because if you look at at stocks like Tesla, etc., they've had a much bigger run. But it has been extremely resilient given the pandemic and is now coming into its own. Let's look at the performance of Bitcoin for the year, and specifically if you managed to buy Bitcoin at the low. The low was on March 23rd, and Bitcoin hit a low of around 5,000 US dollars. If you manage to buy that there, you are 4x up or 4 times up on your money. But that's not what I'm looking at in this chart. In this chart, the part that is the biggest bear signal or the biggest bull signal for me is the fact that Bitcoin went down by 50%. If you look at Bitcoin, it went down by 50% before the low of March 23rd. Now, in a bull market, retracements are healthy. And that's why I'm not convinced that we've seen the big retracement for November. If you look at where we are in November, we were at a high of 19,200 or 300, depending on which exchange you were following. And then we had about a 16% correction to 16,200. Now, I'm not convinced that that's enough or enough of a pullback to take us into big bull run territory, into parabolic territory. Now, if you're asking what parabolic territory looks like, it looks something like that. And this is not the Bitcoin chart. And I'm going to refer back to a tweet that CZ posted. CZ said, if you look at the little dip and the little spike, it will become a flat line on the chart in a few years. And interestingly enough, what I want to do is I want to talk about the Amazon chart. And the reason why I want to talk about the Amazon chart is because I think it tells a very similar story to what we're seeing with Bitcoin. Here's my thesis. If you look at all the most highly valued companies in the world, Google, Amazon, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Uber, if you look at all those platforms and you look at all those companies, the one thing that all of those have in common is the fact that they have the network effect, or they've achieved the network effect. What does that mean? The network effect means that the more people use it, the more people use it. So if you think about Google, the reason why the Google algorithm is so good is because a lot of people search. And the more people search, the better the algorithm becomes. And the more the algorithm becomes better, the more people search. It's the same thing with, say, WhatsApp. There's certain countries in the world where WeChat can't beat WhatsApp. Why? Because everybody's already using WhatsApp. And the more people use WhatsApp, the more people have to use WhatsApp in order to communicate. And so all the biggest companies in the world have this thing called the network effect. Amazon, Facebook, Google all have it. And if you look at the chart, the Amazon chart, I want to take you back to 2001, where there was a big technology crash. In fact, we thought that it was the end of the internet and the end of e-commerce. It was huge. Stocks went down by 90 to 95%. Everybody thought it was the end of the internet. And if you look at where we are, you can't even see that blip on the radar. And that's testament to any type of instrument that has achieved the network effect or is achieving the network effect. Bitcoin certainly is achieving the network effect. Maybe not from the beginning, but now with PayPal adopting it, with a whole lot of wallets out there, with merchants adopting it, it's simply too big to fail, and it's achieved the network effect. Let's look at the biggest factors that have caused the Bitcoin success this year. And for me, one of the biggest turning points was, of course, Paul Tudor Jones. Paul Tudor Jones, for those of you who don't know, is one of the biggest asset managers in the world. And his net worth is in excess of $6 billion. Now, he endorsed Bitcoin at the beginning of this bull run. And to me, that was the biggest turning point. Let's take a listen.
Bitcoin has a lot of the characteristics of being an early investor in a tech company. And I didn't realize it until after, unfortunately, I came on your show and got besieged by God knows how many different people on Bitcoin. And again, I've got a small single-digit investment in Bitcoin. That's it. I'm not a Bitcoin flag bearer. But what I learned was, and what I was so surprised by, is that Bitcoin has this enormous contingent of really, really smart and sophisticated people who believe in it. And it's and now when I think of the menu of the inflation hedges, the thing that Bitcoin has, again, it's like investing with Steve Jobs and Apple or investing in Google early. You've got this group of that's, by the way, crowdsourced all over the world that are dedicated to seeing Bitcoin succeed in it becoming a commonplace store of value and transactional to boot at a very basic level. And so I've never had an inflation hedge where you have a kicker that you also have great intellectual capital behind it. So that makes me even more constructive on it. If you think about it, if you're long 2s30s, right, you're effectively short the bond market. That's your inflation hedge. You're really betting on the fallacy of mankind rather than its ingenuity and entrepreneurialism. So I like Bitcoin even more now than I did then. I think we're in the first inning of Bitcoin.
So as he says, he thinks we're in the first inning of Bitcoin, and he attributes it not only to technology, but to the smart people that are adopting or buying this technology. And I guess that's one of the big reasons to be bullish on Bitcoin. Now, speaking of bullish on Bitcoin, another big turning point was Michael Saylor. We all know Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is the CEO of MicroStrategy, and he took the company's treasury, around $500 million, and he invested it into Bitcoin. And we're going to take a listen. But above what he did for MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor also put his own money into Bitcoin. In fact, he bought 17,732 Bitcoin at $9,800 each. He has effectively doubled his money. You're talking about taking huge numbers and doubling them. The big thing about Michael Saylor is that Michael Saylor is a noob. He's not someone who's been in the game for a long time, or he's someone that walked into the game, looked at all the variables, studied Bitcoin, and decided that he was going to take not only $500 million of his own company money, but also about $200 million of his own wealth and put it into Bitcoin. And he's now doubled that. Let's take a look at what he said on an interview with CNBC.
Let's bring in Michael Saylor. CEO of MicroStrategy. Michael, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
We had you on because you're the CEO of a software company who decided to invest your cash into Bitcoin. And I'm wondering how you came about that decision. Were you thinking we've got a lot of cash because our business generates a lot of cash? So, could it be treasuries or money market, straight up cash or Bitcoin? I mean, what was your thought process?
Well, the story here is, due to the rapid expansion of the monetary supply by the central banks, the cost of capital has tripled from 5% to 15% over the past year. And if we look out over the next 4 years, bond coupons and EPS growth rates are going to need to exceed that hurdle in order to preserve wealth. We had 500 million worth of cash, but we knew we were going to generate another 500 million worth of cash. And we realized that if we held it in cash, it was going to debase by 10, 15% a year, and I didn't want to lose half of it. So what isn't so well understood is the BTC. Bitcoin is the best safe haven treasury reserve asset in the world right now, and it's engineered to be superior to gold in all aspects. So that being the case, a lot of people understand the asset story of Bitcoin. It's up 100% annually each year for the past decade, more or less. Mm-hmm. What they don't understand is that Bitcoin's it's a monetary network. And as a monetary network, it's capable of storing and channeling energy over time without power loss. Uh-huh. So we got really excited about this idea, and we saw it as a solution for the store of value problem, not just for the $300 trillion of capital in the world, but for the 7.5 billion people on the planet. And so that's pretty compelling. Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt, Michael, but cash on a balance sheet and wanting to preserve the power of that cash is one thing. Investing it in something that's speculative is another. I mean, are you a software company, or are you a Bitcoin hedge fund at this point? I mean, why bother with the software part of the business if your belief truly is that Bitcoin is going to go up 100% every year, going forward?
Well, first of all, we do have a software company generating cash, but if we simply swept the cash into fiat currency and allowed it to base at 15% a year, we'd be losing as much on the balance sheet as we generated from the P&L. So that didn't make sense. On the other hand, the traditional concerns about Bitcoin have been that it might be hacked, it might be copied, it might be banned. And after a decade, it hasn't been hacked. No one's managed to copy it. It's not going to be banned.
How do you view, though, the size of your Bitcoin position relative to the size of your business? And is there a point at which, even just for portfolio management purposes, you trim your Bitcoin position in order to be conservative? I mean, your enterprise value is, what, $2.4 billion or so? I'm not sure what your Bitcoin position is. You initially invested $400 million or so back in August, and that position's got to be enormous by now.
Well, look, we love the enterprise business intelligence business, and we want to.
So Melissa Lee asked a very important question. She says, are you a portfolio manager or a Bitcoin money manager, or are you actually a software company? So I pulled out the financials from MicroStrategy. This is from their annual report. And what's interesting to note is that their total revenue is about $500 million a year, but at the same time, their profit or their net income is about $34 million a year. So why is this important? Because if you put into perspective, MicroStrategy bought 38,250 Bitcoin. They paid $11,000 per Bitcoin, which means they paid just shy of $500 million for the purchase. Now, remember, this is the company that was making $34.5 million a year. In fact, let's go back there. Let's look. Over the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they've made about $300 million. But if you take their profit on Bitcoin, they made $325 million just by holding Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor started a trend, because when he started this, many other CEOs of big companies decided that it was safer to put their treasuries into Bitcoin rather than hold them in cash or dollars, which are continually depreciating. And we're seeing this trend. We're seeing more and more and more companies, more and more CEOs put their companies' treasuries into Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor's a noob, but he really gets this. He also says that we put our communications, our advertising, our opinions, our resumes, all on the network. It's time to put our money on the network. And what he's calling is that Microsoft, Apple, if you missed Microsoft, Apple, you can still catch Bitcoin. And that brings me back to the chart that I posted earlier today that says, even though you may think that it's too late, even though you may think that you shouldn't be buying Bitcoin at 20,000, take a look at what the Amazon chart looks like, even though it went down to $50,000 even though Bitcoin went down. Now, if you look at who's holding Bitcoin today, this tells a picture. And I got this from a tweet by Kevin Rook. Kevin Rook is one of the contributors to the show. Have a look at who's holding Bitcoin today. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, the Chinese government, Block One, Wrap BTC, the US government, CoinShares, a fund, MicroStrategy, one public company, the BitMEX Insurance Fund, Tim Draper. What you're not seeing here is you're not seeing all the big institutions holding Bitcoin. What does that mean? It means that as this trend continues and more of these CEOs go out there and put their company's treasury into Bitcoin, we're going to see a whole lot more adoption. And with that, we're going to run out of Bitcoin. The supply is going to run out, and we're going to get higher highs and a bigger market cap. Another interesting thing to look at was that if you look at the buying today on Bitcoin, you'll notice that the buying is being done mainly by institutions. In fact, the institutional exchange at the CME, or the exchange where institutions mainly trade, is now doing more Bitcoin volume than any other exchange in the world. What does this mean? It means that the institutions are here. And if the institutions are here, they're going to be holding their Bitcoin. They're not going to come in and trade Bitcoin. They're not traders, which means that they're going to be lapping it up, and there's going to be so much more supply. So that's my thesis as to why I think Bitcoin is going to $100,000, $106,000, and a whole lot more. And just a reminder that if you are watching the show on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button now, because if you do hit the like button and you do hit the subscribe button, it tells the YouTube algorithm that the show's got great content, and it starts sharing it with other crypto enthusiasts around the world. And that means that we can bring you more live streaming. Also, this is a call-in show. If you want to call into the show, you can WhatsApp us at 1646-732-4269. You can Telegram us at Crypto Banter, or you can go to our website, www.cryptobanter.com, and there's a widget there which allows you to call the studio anonymously. So that's my thesis as to why Bitcoin is going to new highs, and I think well over 100,000. But what does that mean for Ethereum, and particularly on a day where Ethereum launched Ethereum 2.0? So again, I pulled the chart, the 1 year chart of Ethereum. Ethereum started the year very close to its low, $125, and today it's at $600 or $630, depending on where you look and when you look in the day. And it's had a 5x return for people who bought it at the beginning of the year. To me, Ethereum probably represents more upside in the short term than Bitcoin does. Bitcoin got the network effect quite early in the game and has had a big run. I think Ethereum hasn't even started. Bitcoin is breaking its all-time highs. Ethereum is nowhere near its all-time highs. It's trading at about 1/3 of its all-time highs. So for me, if I had $10,000 to invest and I was looking for a short-term investment, a slightly riskier investment, I'd put a little bit more into Ethereum and a little bit less into Bitcoin. I wonder if our next guest agrees with me on that thesis. We've got a very special guest for you today. His name is Coach K, and he's here to talk about everything Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoin market. Coach K, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate you getting me on the show and sharing my view of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I was just listening to what you were saying, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. So,
well, that's amazing because most people don't actually agree with me. I think let's start off by asking, do you think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are now at a point where they're unstoppable?
I think that we're going to probably see a pullback at some point. Likely in the middle of December, going into Chinese New Year and into the holidays. It's definitely got a crazy amount of velocity going to it right now. We're also seeing that people are playing around a little bit with everyone, getting all-time high yesterday, pulling it back almost $2,000 again, just like a few hours ago, pushing really high. Everyone's getting excited and then drops it again. I think we're going to probably test that level a couple more times and drop. I do believe, though, before we hit the middle of December, we're going to probably push towards 22 to 24.5. And then we'll have a really strong dump out of nowhere. Everyone's not expecting it. Everyone's going to get bullish. Retail just started to come kind of getting those phone calls again from 2017 of how do I buy Bitcoin? I'm interested. I want to know what to do.
Yeah, retail isn't really here again yet. It seems like the money is actually all coming from GBTC, which is an institutionalist. Coach K, the comments are going crazy. You've obviously got a big fan base. They're obviously all watching. Guys, if you are watching and you do like this content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button now. If you want to call in and speak to Coach K live on the show, our producers will pop the StreamYard link into the chat, and then you guys can join in and talk to Coach K.
Do it.
Call us. Let's banter. Let's talk crypto.
It's absolutely banter. Yeah, absolutely.
Coach K. Yeah. Long term, not in the 1 month, 1 week, 1 month, 1 hour time frame.
Absolutely.
Do you think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely here to stay? In other words, got to a point now where the momentum is so big, the network effect is so big, the amount of money that people are investing in it is so big that they just simply can't fail. Have they reached that critical mass?
Well, a great question, honestly, because if we look at on a macro level, Bitcoin, our market cap, let me just check it right now. Our market cap's only 560 billion. There's companies that are bigger than this. So, people keep saying to me, I missed it. I'm like, dude, you missed nothing. It's like every millionaire in the world can't even have one Bitcoin, and it's only $20,000 right now. So think about where this can go in the long term. You got US printing 22% of the whole entire supply of their fiat currency in 1 year with COVID and all this stuff happening. And then you look at that and you go, okay, well, if they printed that much money, why are all the markets pumping? Well, because people are buying it. Right? People are going and buying Bitcoin. People are going and buying Ethereum. They're going and buying, and the equities markets have gone insane because they know that if they keep that dollar, it's going to be worth less every single day that they hold it. So why would they do that? And I think, when you think about a long-term trajectory, when it gets to the point, you're seeing U.S. senators holding it, you're seeing institutions, MicroStrategy, you got guys like Grayscale buying $188 million on a Friday 2 weeks ago. These types of facts are facts. I mean, I've been telling my mom, my friends, my brothers, everyone's like, no, Bitcoin. I had one of my wife's friends came back last summer and she was like, oh, you're still doing that Bitcoin thing, huh? And I was like, hold up a second. Yes, I'm doing that Bitcoin thing. And now I was like, I wonder if her name's Moo. I'm like, I wonder if I called up Moo and asked her what she thinks about Bitcoin today, what she would say. And she'd probably be like, yeah, okay, you were right. And we were all here through that bear market and we were all struggling a little bit. Everyone was kind of worried, and
we weren't as proud in the bear market when people asked us, you're still doing that Bitcoin thing. We'd kind of go under the table and whoa, don't talk about Bitcoin. In fact, I remember Thanksgiving of the bear market, which I guess was 2019. And I remember hoping that at the Thanksgiving table, people wouldn't call me up on crypto conversation.
Yeah, especially because you're on TV and stuff, right? And you're always interviewing everyone.
Exactly. They think I'm because I wear the Bitcoin shirt and because I'm on TV that I know better than them. Coach K, if you had $10,000 to invest today, how much would you put into Bitcoin and how much would you put into Ethereum?
Okay, well that's a really loaded question, obviously, because I love both and I've stacked both for the last 6-7 years. I would say that the key piece is what is your long-term vision? Which one do you believe in more? Would you split it up 50-50? If you've never had either, probably it's not a bad idea to have both. But if you're looking at more of an investment for the shorter term that will give you more value, I would say Ethereum has a higher upside, especially because its all-time high is still almost almost 2.5 times away from where it is priced right now, and Bitcoin just hit its all-time high. So there's a lot more upward trajectory. Of course, ETH 2.0 is going to take a lot longer with the whole scale of things than we want. But that being said, I do believe that we're going to see Ethereum not overtake its market cap at all, for sure not, but definitely push higher in terms of multiples, and Bitcoin still go and do probably a 4x in the long term. Maybe do I would say probably the top of this cycle will be closer to 100,000, but maybe a little bit below that. And it's Bitcoin. You and I have been here. I've been here through two cycles, and when you see both cycles, you see the top, you see the bottom, and it's wow, it's pretty. The first time I saw it, I just bought Bitcoin. The Mt. Gox happened, and I was just well, that sucks. That was a scam. But then next thing you know, we're right back into it, and it's okay, things are really they make sense. And then this time, the bear market, I told my mom, remember having this, she came to visit me. I live in Thailand. I lived here for 8 years. She came to visit me and she said, Joel, what should I do? I've invested in bonds my whole life. And I said, Mom, Bitcoin was $3,500. I remember exactly. It was exactly 35, just hit the bottom. And I was like, it was December, and then it was January, February. So I was like, Mom, buy Bitcoin. All you need to do right now is buy some Bitcoin. Take $5,000 if you have it, and just throw it in and don't think about it until a couple years from now. And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, just send me money. I will do it for you. I'll hold it on my Trezor. I'll make you your own account. She's like, I don't know. She didn't do it. So she messages me, we have calls all the time, right? And she goes, so how's Bitcoin doing? I'm like, well, it was last time I talked to her, it was 19K. She's like, I'm like, it's $19,000. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, I told you it was going to happen. And I think this is a common conversation that I have. And I hate telling people I told you so, because they're not too late. You don't want to discourage people now because, okay, yeah, we're at all-time high again, but we're at the start of a new cycle. We're not the end. So get them. I remember
when I invested for the first time for my parents, and that was at the top of the top in 2017. And there were 2 or 3 birthdays where I wouldn't dare go home and celebrate with my parents, and a lot of Thanksgivings that I wasn't going to. But I guess now we're almost back in the money, and so I could probably phone my parents at some stage, and I'm sure they'd want to take me.
Let you back in your house and stuff.
Exactly. Coach, are you looking at charts to back up your calls? I mean, do you look at the charts? What are your charts saying? Do you want to share some charts on the screen with us, so we can see what you're looking at? Also, while we are getting the charts on the screen, just a reminder that if you want to call in to speak to Coach K, this is a call-in show. You can call in, you can remain anonymous, you can go onto the YouTube and you can leave us a comment or ask the question, and we'll get your question to Coach K, and hopefully he can answer them. Wow, that looks like a very intense chart. What is that chart we're looking at?
Not too intense. I'm a high time frame Ichimoku trader. I mean, a lot of these guys, you see them doing with 15-minute, 5-minute charts. I'm a high time frame. I'm a macro level trader. So if you guys watch my YouTube channel, you can go and look up just Coach K. What you'll notice is that I called this being the start of the bull run. Actually, I called the bull run even further back on the monthly chart, but I told people this was the day where it's going to start on October 17th. And I said that when we were kind of back here. I was like, pretty sure this is going to be the date. And that was literally the day we took off. And everyone was like, how did you know? And I was like, I didn't, but I could just see things coiling up in it. We weren't breaking below this level, and it looked like it was going to break out. And then we broke out. And then this is a CME gap that everyone was talking about for so long. We kind of tapped into it right here. I'll go zoom in a little bit more so you can see. We tapped into that gap, and we never filled it. And here's our new CME gap from this week, which is absolutely massive. But I put these on because gaps 95% of the time fill. So these both still probably at some point will fill. Wait, this is not the
okay.
gap.
Wait, take me back a second.
Yeah,
what were the telltale signs that told you that a bull market was coming up ahead? I mean, I'm looking at your chart. I'm trying to understand and show our viewers what it is that gave you the signal that the bear market was coming.
The bear market or the bull market?
The bull.
This the candlestick right here, this one. And the reason why it's this candlestick right here is because it was the third highest candle close on a monthly chart ever. So when I looked at that, actually, I think it was the second highest. I looked at this, I was waiting for it forever like everybody else, and I was waiting for a close that was higher than all these other candles that we waited for forever. And I said, this is going to be the start of the bull market. And people were like, nah, I don't think so. I don't really think so. And I was like, you are entitled to your own opinion. Actually, if you go on my trading view, there's like a little dot that points up. You can actually find where I said that. And on TradingView, unlike a lot of the LARPers that we see on Twitter, you can actually go back and see charts where I've done them where you can't modify it. So that's what I love about TradingView. If you do something and you say something, you can go back and verify that person said it. So go and check it out if you want to, guys. It's just Joel_Coach K on TradingView. So on this candle, I said that it's starting. Obviously, we came down and we retested this level, and then we just took off. And that was like the first indication. Then we went down to the weekly chart, saw very similar signs. We came above, we crossed, and we retested right here in August. And then we started to move. And once we broke out of this Kijun on the weekly, I was pretty sure that we were going to keep going higher. And that's what I was looking at right here. And then I go back down to the daily. And on the daily, let me just auto this. On the daily, I saw a flag potentially starting up, and it wasn't really allowing it to go lower. We had a Kijun that was holding very tightly. Then we started seeing the 21-day EMA, this yellow line, pushing up, and that was giving me a good indication we're looking more to have an uptrend. The volume started to increase. So these are just basic things. I mean, I could turn off the Ichimoku and just use levels, which is what I usually do at the start, so you can see it just as clearly. And this is what I'm looking at. So some of my levels are turned off right now, but what I was looking at was, okay, I had the all-time high on my chart. I drew this level, and then I said, okay, one really important thing that most people are not looking at, and they say, well, you don't know what you're talking about a lot. And what I do is I go back and I say, guys, we have a key level here that nobody seems to almost really be talking about, right in this level around 12,300. So it was pretty much a pretty strong level of resistance in August of the year before. Then it was a resistance here, and then we just sliced right through it like butter. And when you go through a level, you need to retest it. We never retested that level. We just sliced it and just started going on a bull run. Now, generally when that happens, we get a nice huge movement and we come down and we retest this level. And the crazy thing is,
what is that level? Is that 12,000,
12,300?
12,300. So you're saying that generally we should pull back to the level that we haven't yet retested. And in this case, the level that we haven't retested is 12,000.
Yeah, it seems crazy, but everyone who's been in crypto knows long enough. Now, I get a lot of scrutiny for that. Like, yeah, right. And people, when they're bullish, man, they're so bullish, they get upset and emotional. I'm not emotional. I don't care. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm okay to be wrong because I'm a trader and I use risk management. I implore all of you guys that are trading not to use leverage to add risk. A lot of people do that.
So
I only use leverage when I have to.
My thesis is also that we due a very big correction. The market's overheated. There's too much momentum. People have drank too much Kool-Aid. CNBC is giving too much coverage to crypto all of a sudden. And those are all the telltale signs. But I was calling it back to around $14,000. You're saying as low as $12,000.
Yeah. It could definitely not. It could, like I'm saying, it could not happen, and we could not come back and retest this level. But I think this is like we could dump. That's why I wrote we could dump to this level to retest. Maybe we don't. Obviously, Bitcoin could just do its own thing. We've all been here before. We've seen this happen. But as you see on the other levels, we break through and sliced it, and we retested it. Whenever we sliced through levels, even here, I was waiting for this to happen and did. We sliced and retested this level. So when we go through levels and we really smash through them, generally it may not happen right away. And here we'll bring a euphoric move, right? So everyone's like, oh my God, it's 16. Oh my God, it's 19. And then boom, it goes back to 16. And you're like, oh my God, right? And that happens so fast. Everyone's freaking out like, oh my God, everyone's selling. And what do you think the institutions are doing, guys? Do you know what they're doing? Institutions are going while you're selling and freaking out and going, yes, finally we get it cheaper because we didn't buy it down here or down there, or we didn't buy it down here. And when we had that second chance that sparked the bull run, and we didn't buy it down here, so we're now going to buy it all the way up here like Grayscale was doing. And Grayscale, for them, they've actually been buying it the whole time, but they don't want to buy it up here. No person who has billions of dollars wants to buy it up here. They want to see this thing crash to this level. They want it there, and they want to buy it there. And that's what
you keep talking about the CME gap, and I see you've written in one of the boxes that you talk about the CME gap. What is the CME gap? Why is it important? Why are we looking at it?
Okay, so CME gap is because like we have open and close, right? Now, for some reason, this is a weird one, but we have a gap right here. When it closed way down here. And then on the Monday, it opened all the way up here, right? And then so we could see we closed up here. So basically there's a gap in the chart of, $1,200 or so. These generally fill. And if you look at like in the past, we had a gap right here. It's a lot clearer. And we didn't fill it, but everyone was watching, and the 100-day EMA saved this chart. It's bounced off of it twice, and then it went. But I was expecting it to come into this zone. It did halfway. And then if we look back, you'll see other gaps like this one. This one filled over here. We have this one down here that was the small one that filled over there. We have this gap right here you can see on the chart, the little hole in the chart right here. That one filled. So they always pretty much fill. Like it's like a 95 to 96% of the time, but you don't know when they're going to fill. So this could sit there, and we could go to like 25, 26, 24K, and it could be all the way until like in March, and it comes and fills, right? We don't know. Or it could literally fill tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here because you're leaving it a bit vague for me, and I need to know what to do with my money. So in the short term, are you taking profits or are you buying more Bitcoin?
I'm definitely always like the one thing. I mean, this is one of the things I leave on my screen. It says move stops, take profit. And why I put that there is because the number one rule in trading is that you take profit, because no realized if it's not our P&L and it's P&L and you're looking on the chart and you're like, wow, it's doing so great. Oh my God, I'm up $3,000. But then you don't take any profit. You see something like what happened today, and then you end up minus money and you're like, oh my God, I lost $1,000 and I was up $3,000. Now I've lost $4,000.
I love that. Move stops, take profit. But the question is, how much of your money is invested? I'm trying to understand whether you're bullish or whether you're bearish now. Are your trades bullish? Are you accumulating, or are you starting to offload?
I have been accumulating Bitcoin since pretty much 3,500 slowly, and then adding to it. So I there's one thing that a lot of traders don't do, and I do probably maybe some of them do it, some of them don't. the people who believe in crypto, we always buy and we hold and we put it on our Trezor. So if you have a Trezor, it's like your bank account. I treat it like that. I treat it like
are
if
you
I'm
buying now and putting coins into your Trezor?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right,
So
now
I'll buy Bitcoin or use profits on trades, put that Bitcoin and just throw it on my Trezor. And then that way, I don't even know how much is actually on there. I'll just I'll make a good trade. I'll be like, all right, I'm going to put 0.2 Bitcoin on my Trezor and I'll just send it. And I have the address on my computer. I don't even have accessibility to see what's even on it. I don't care. I just keep sending it whenever I feel like it. And then once in a while, I'll go and check and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Great. Awesome. And I do that with Ethereum as well. And those are the two I pretty much accumulate the most. But RSR is a huge one that I've been accumulating.
Oh, now we're getting good. Now we're talking about RSR. Before that, we have Mark in the YouTube comment. He says, we did retest, but wrong candle. Our retest is the candle from the 5th of November. It retested
November.
2 days later.
The 5th of November. Hold on. Let's go take a look.
This is what banter is all about. We want your comments. You make the show. You bring the banter. Any questions you've got for our guest, Coach K, Joel, all the way from Thailand, we're going to be answering them right here for you today. We've also got Gabriel on the line. Gabriel, I see you. I'm going to bring you into the show in just a few minutes.
Bring it on, man. So the 5th of November, that wasn't anywhere close to, maybe he means 5th of some other month.
He says 5th of November. And then he goes on to say, same thing happened 12th of November and retested it on 26th of November.
12th of November and 26th. Okay. Yeah. So he's talking about this one right here. I was talking about, he's talking about a different area. I'm talking about this level we cracked above that was pretty much acting as resistance from all the way back in, in our June 19, August 19 level. He's talking about he's talking about a different level that's in between these two. So yeah, he's right. We did test those other levels, but we never tested this level. See this big, huge.
I'm going to bring Gabriel. Gabriel, I'm bringing you into the stream. You've got a question that you want to ask Coach K. Gabriel, are you with us? Gabriel.
I am with you. Do you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you. What do you want to ask Coach K?
Do you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, we hear you. We hear you loud and clear.
Did we lose him?
Oh, we seem to have lost Gabriel, but hold on. Gabriel is back. Gabriel, are you back?
I'm here. I never left.
Amazing. Right. Gabriel, what do you want to ask? What do you want to ask us? What do you want to ask Coach K?
Should I spend time learning technical analysis, or should I just buy and hold?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question.
That's a great question. So it depends on your time. Do you have time or do you not? So I would look at a couple factors. How much time do you have? How long of a period are you looking at? Do you believe in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin to be the future of money? So those three questions you should ask yourself. Now, if you believe in Bitcoin, you should be hodling for sure. Absolutely, you should have some all the time. I believe no matter what, everyone should try to have at least one Bitcoin, no matter what they do, and store it on a Trezor and don't touch it. Because in the long term, if it does what a lot of people said, Max Kaiser, etc., everyone's saying buy one. Why are they telling you to buy one? Because if every millionaire wants one today, they can't have it, right? So that put it in that perspective. Should you hold? Yes. Should you trade and use technical? If you have time and you know what you're doing and you're not just trying to figure it out and you're not going to lose a lot of your money doing it and you're using risk management, absolutely. But
I think the question is, should he spend the time actually learning technical analysis? Gabriel, I want to answer you to say that in a fast-growing asset class, HODL is the best strategy. There's a big space for technical analysis and charting. And if you understand what technical analysis is, really what it is, it's plotting human emotion on a graph. So you're not looking at prices, you're actually looking at human emotion. And there is great value in understanding human emotion and understanding when things are overbought or oversold based on human emotion. That could make you a master trader. So I find that the good technical analysts, and there's a lot of them that I follow. One in particular who's very young and very smart is at Philocone on Twitter. Now, that guy trades, he's super smart. He understands technical analysis really, really, really well, and he understands the psyche behind it. So my feeling is, in a fast-growing asset class like Bitcoin, take 80 or 90% of your portfolio and put it behind the coins that you think are going to grow, like the Amazons and everything else in the long term. The other 10% or 15%, whatever it is, take that and learn to trade with it. You'll make a lot of mistakes, as they used to tell me when I was an equity trader. They used to say, you got to burn to learn. I've learned, I've burnt again, and I keep running back for more. But
It's
I
your
have
education fee.
I have got a lot of value out of listening to the technical analysts. So there's definitely a space for technical analysts. Gabriel, you happy with that?
Listen, it seems like I'm already on the right track. I'm burning all day.
You're burning all day in a full market.
Nice. I know what he means.
Gabriel, in fact, Joel, I'm going to come back to you. So
Yes.
you mentioned Bitcoin. Let's talk about Ethereum. Are you buying Ethereum? Are you trading Ethereum? Is there a graph that you look at when it comes to Ethereum?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'd imagine so, because if you look at the comments, Connected MCM says he taught most of us degens in 2017. Coach has a sweet green screen background. Maybe he's a libertarian and he feels that each of us should be free to imagine a background of our own preference. That's a great green screen. Guys, he is in Thailand. Come on, give the man a break. All right, talk me through. Let's look at the Ethereum chart.
Yeah, so, okay, Ethereum, I've been really doing well with my analysis on, and I've been watching it for, I pretty much told people around $317 was like the time where it was like literally looking good. It right around here. I was like, it seems like it's going to come and retest. Like I said before, retesting certain levels. I thought it would come and retest, and it did. And then we had like this kind of slow moving. We broke out and we broke out again. And then I was right around here, the same time that I talked about this October 17th, I said we're very likely after we came up to this level, we were going to probably come to $485. And that was like not very long. That was like October 30th or October 29th. And we broke out. And then I said, when we break out of this triangle, this is going to go up to this level very least. And then we've been just basically breaking out and breaking out and breaking out. And now we kind of come and broke back down to this level because we sliced right through it, similar to what Bitcoin did, sliced right through it. Then it had to come retest, and now it's moving. And I'm really waiting to see today. We have 8 hours left until close. If this turns into a hangman at resistance, or it actually pumps a little bit higher and turns into a hammer. Because if it turns into a hammer, I'm expecting us to go towards $741, $744. And it sounds like crazy, but the last time we had a bull run and Bitcoin hit its all-time high, that was when ETH after the all-time high started to move. And that's when our crap coins really started to move as well. We're already seeing that with like XRPs moving. We're seeing a lot of the majors move. Even EOS, which is kind of crazy, hasn't been really doing anything. It's starting to have a little bit of life.
EOS got the memo very late. Coach, you talk about two concepts that I wanted to ask you about. People talk about a close, like the daily close. Now,
Yes.
I know that crypto markets don't close. So when you talk about a close, what are these analysts referring to when they talk about a close?
They're talking about like 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For crypto, it's 7 p.m. UTC, I think. And so basically, on your chart, if you're looking on the daily, it does expire, even though it's 24 hours. There's only 24 hours in a day. So I wait for that to happen before I make big decisions, especially because a macro trader, you don't want to like get stuck in like, oh my God, this is dumping, and sell your coin when you've bought way down here. Sell because it came back to retest this level because you haven't waited for that close.
Okay, so actually what you're saying is it's a deemed close. Now, you also mentioned hammer. What would need to happen for this chart to be a hammer?
Okay, well, I'll just use this resistance and I'll just bring it down here. So a hammer is when it does this. So they're the same exact candlestick. A hangman is when it's at, right? So when we go up here, a hangman is like a hammer candle, very similar look, but it's at resistance. And a hammer is hammering off. So it's like smashing off of a support. So this level would be a support if it was here. And if it closed like that, it would be a nice little hammer candle. And generally, after it hammers down, it pops back up and goes a little bit higher. And if you have a hangman at resistance like it is right there, then it would look like we could probably come back down maybe to this level, which we came and we sliced right through. So it could come back down to $548. So,
all right. So what you're saying is there's a big chance for upside. The upside is around $740. The downside is you're talking about $540. That's your other level. So it seems like from a risk return point of view, it's probably a good trade to make, right?
Yeah, and the reason why I've looked at those levels, we're just looking at it like ladders here. So if you look on this chart, right, every time I kind of stopped on the way down when Ethereum was coming back down, these are levels that we've come to. So I talked about $620 when we were in the 400s, and people were like, what? And I was like, it's going to come because we have this level, and we have this level, and we have this level, and it's going to like come down like stairs. So it's going to step up like stairs. It's really that simple a lot of the time. Like, people make it really confusing, and you're right, Rand. Like a lot of trading is your own mentality, your own emotion. If you get scared or you get nervous or you get depressed or you get too excited, that's not a good place to be in. I come from sports, and when we played I played high level American football pretty much most of my life. And the worst thing you can do is be emotional. You'll get penalties, you get upset, you make rash decisions, and you do the same thing on a chart. So
yeah, I must say, if I start making emotional decisions, that's typically when I step away from the screen. I give up all the opportunities that may be coming our way. I go for a run, I go for a weekend away, and then I get back in front of the screen and I go there and I start trading. Now, back to the comments. We've got Jeff Sutton. Jeff Sutton says, hey, coach, can you show us your charts on XRP? Do you have a target in mind? Wow,
Sure,
XRP.
sure, yeah.
Everybody's asking about XRP. Are
everyone
you
wants to know. Everyone wants
buy it or
is
sell it?
Is it this time? Are we going to go? Is it going to be the time where XRP just breaks out and goes to the moon? Well, we're looking at similar things here. So I go and to really keep it simple, where's XRP? Well, we have certain levels now, not very many of them, but we have certain levels that we'll be trying to step up to. And XRP with Flare coming, I think it's Flare, that's the name of it. You're getting an airdrop. And I mean, if you were here for the last bull run, every time there was a fork or an airdrop, it was from a big project, everyone wanted to get it. And so what ends up happening is people buy it to hold it to get the free coins. And so not only that, XRP it's been a long winter for XRP, man. Everyone was waiting forever for this to come back. It just seemed like it just kept going lower and lower. And people were asking me, why are you not buying XRP? Why are you not buying XRP? And I was like, I'll buy it when it gives me a buy signal. And actually, if you go in my group at 31 cents, that was when I said, okay, I'm buying XRP. And everyone was like, right? And I was like, yes, like right here. And it just exploded. They're like, why? And I was like, I could see the volume. Like all of a sudden you have these massive volume candles. And what is that? That means institutions are buying, not retail guys. You don't see
institutions are buying XRP. Is this what you're saying to me?
Yes. Institutions are buying. Maybe Bank of America.
And do you think that XRP still has upside? I mean, it's clear that people are buying it because they're getting these Flare tokens, or I think it's called Sparkster or something.
Spark, yeah.
Spark.
Spark or Flare, yeah, something like that.
Surely after the 12th, December 12th, when everyone gets their airdrop, surely after that, XRP is going to go smash way back down.
Of course it is. I mean, game theory, right? Everyone forgets that all of this is a gigantic game. How are human emotions involved in this? Well, it's game theory. I'm going to sell mine before you sell yours because then I win. And then you're going to have the same mentality. Well, you're probably going to sell it, so I'm going to sell mine. And what ends up happening is a dump will happen. Does that mean it's going to go all the way back down here? Probably not. There's a really hardcore community around it. And as we both know, community is like 99% of crypto. If you have a good community, your project is a very good chance that you'll be successful because they won't just dump your token and dump your token.
Do you know anything about what Flare actually does? I mean, have you actually looked at the project?
It enables smart contracts on XRP. So
well, not exactly. Not exactly. Not exactly, because it doesn't actually use the XRP network. It actually creates a whole new network, and it allows you to migrate your XRP tokens into some kind of holding device and swap them for these Flare tokens. So basically, it's a new chain. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean,
That's interesting.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to give my comments. I'm going to try and get the guys from Flare to come and talk, because I think let's give them the platform. I think it may be interesting to chat to them. Coach, you spoke about RSR, reserve rights or reserve token. Is that one that you're looking at?
Oh yeah, big time. These guys are
Lots
definitely
going on, big community, lots going on, building in the DeFi space. This token's had a hell of a run.
Peter Thiel. I mean, you got to look at who's behind. Like, I invest in a lot of ICOs. I'm in like 30 right now. People are like, why do you invest in these projects? I'm like, I don't invest in the project. I invest in the people that are behind it, not just the idea. We've already done the idea crap in 2017. I invest in who is it and what are they doing. So RSR basically is making a new type of currency. It's being used all over South America already. And we all know a Coinbase listing is imminent at some point. It will happen. We don't know exactly when, but I'm assuming when their mainnet launches, which probably is in the next couple months. And, you know, I did scoop up a lot of XRP, thanks to Ren, but I won't talk about why. But yeah, like XRP, not XRP, RSR.
Holy moly! Whoa! Did you buy those XRP?
What, RSRs? Yeah, I did.
Alrighty, so at least I know who the buyer was. You bought some very, very, very cheap coins.
Yeah.
I gave you the deal of your life. So RSR is another one. Give me one more coin, and then I want to ask you. In fact, before you give me one, I've got Jay's talking here. He says RSR moneymaker. You got Ocean Protocol. Do you follow Ocean Protocol?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about Ocean Protocol.
I don't have the chart here, but I can pull it up. Hold on a second. So Ocean actually looks like it's. Last time I was watching it just the other day. Where is it? Okay,
I've been following Ocean Protocol, and I think Ocean Protocol is due around. If the market carries on going, Ocean Protocol
look at it, where
easily
the
go
setup
over 60 cents.
A clear double bottom is right here. I was looking at it over here to see if we'd get back up before I bought in. So there was kind of a setup from a little while ago. But I just look at it like we have this clear double bottom here. We have one, we have two. We see a breakout of this level right here. When we see this breakout, it's going to break out and go, you know, for a nice, at least like maybe 1.5.
Okay, coach. People are going crazy on the chat. They're saying, Coach, anyway, you can take a look at Nano for me. It had a nice pump, seems to be holding well. We look for another leg up. But Coach, we are running out of time. We don't have much time, and our next guest is on the line. Coach, will you come back to our show tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday? Let's get you back on. Let's talk about the charts.
That's CryptoBanter.com, where you talk crypto.